Today we're going to talk about component digital twins, the secret ingredient engineers need from component manufacturers. As a component manufacturer, your customers depend on the parts you supply for their success. Understanding your customers' needs and challenges gives you the ability to provide them the data they need to overcome the inevitable changes on the horizon. Imagine this scenario. Your best customer runs an electronics manufacturing plant, and their products are exceptionally popular. That's when an unexpected change to the industry causes them to reduce their on-site staff to a skeleton crew for several months. They need time to implement safety measures at the plant before they can get back to full production capacity. The loss in revenue and increase in expenses is a reality now and into the future for manufacturers around the globe. These types of scenarios are driving changes to the way manufacturing plants will operate into the future. According to the World Economic Forum, the rate at which automated machines will displace human labor will increase from 33% in 2020 to 47% in 2025. The incentives are high for replacing humans with machines on a factory floor. Automated machines increase efficiency, cut long-term costs, and can work 24 hours a day in a lights-out environment. Machines don't take sick days, PTO, or require social distancing. The engineers that spec your components are under pressure to include industrial automation and robotics in more of the projects in their pipeline. They depend on your components for their designs. For engineers to do their job, they need more product data to drive automation. Data that you can easily provide them with component digital twins. To understand the essential role of component digital twins for your customers, we must first understand this. Two things can be called by the same name, but the results are completely different. What's this? Ramen soup. How about this? Yes, ramen soup. What's the difference between the two? It's the quality of ingredients. The cup of ramen has dry noodles and salty dust in a foam cup, and it's worth every bit of 40 cents. The bowl of ramen has chicken, green onions, bean sprouts, eggs, handmade noodles, and a complex broth. The quality of ingredients makes it worth the $15 price tag. Both the cup and the bowl of noodles are technically ramen, but the quality of ingredients defines each soup's value. The same thing is true for CAD models provided by industrial manufacturers. The quality of ingredients, more commonly known as CAD metadata, defines the value CAD models bring to engineers and architects. We'll take a look at the difference between the types of CAD models engineers download from suppliers a little later. But before we do, we need to answer this question. Why is supplier CAD metadata relevant for industrial automation and component manufacturers? Much of the automation required for future manufacturing will be powered by data derived from engineering CAD models. Without high-quality data, industrial automation is only a pipe dream. To understand how component digital twins enable engineers to stay ahead of competitors and automate machines, we must first understand the challenges engineers face in today's manufacturing environment. So what challenges do today's engineers face? In the past, engineers created 2D drawings of parts. they would send the drawing to the manufacturing department and move on to the next part. In those days, engineers rarely interfaced with other departments directly affected by their design choices. Because companies typically siloed various departments, engineers weren't able to see the consequences of their work or the component choices made by the purchasing department. Today, companies break apart those silos of communication and make relevant information available across the organization. Many of the business systems currently being used and implemented make it easier for information to travel back and forth between different departments. Now engineers design products within 3D CAD software. They store data within PLM systems and ERP systems where other departments can access and use it. By making data available across departments, they can spend less time on redundant data entry and eliminate costly human errors. The bottom line is, companies that streamline access to data save money and make better, more informed decisions. Engineers have a tough job. The CAD models of today do more heavy lifting than in the past. Many companies are moving towards a model-based enterprise, which means the CAD model is where most vital product data is stored. Non-engineering employees now reference the source data derived from CAD models as a core function of their job. The importance of accurate CAD data isn't limited to CAD models designed within a company. It's also crucial for parts purchased from suppliers. Even common parts or commercial off-the-shelf parts need to contain accurate metadata. Here are a few departments and processes that utilize CAD metadata: design engineering, testing and analysis, simulation, supply chain, manufacturing, machine programming, maintenance, repair and overhaul, and future research and development. So how does part data from component manufacturers drive industrial automation? In automated factories, robotic arms, autonomous robots, and perfectly timed conveyor belts work in unison to manufacture products efficiently. Centralized software speaks to the factory system, which ensures each machine is working efficiently with minimal downtime. Programming complex automation is made possible by data derived from the components that make up each machine. Designing and programming machines go much smoother when CAD models contain the necessary metadata. Take this machine, for example. A sensor in this machine is connected to a linear drive. The sensor detects the linear drive's range of motion to ensure the drive is in sync with grippers, cylinders, and other moving parts within this machine and other machines that work in tandem with it. The linear drive has set optimum functionality and range of motion. When the drive isn't functioning at full capacity, the sensor notifies the factory maintenance team. A maintenance engineer can replace the part in a few minutes rather than having the entire machine go down for hours or even days. Costs can range into the millions of dollars for every hour a vital factory floor machine is down. A simple notification driven by quality data originating from a CAD model has the potential to save millions of dollars. That is the power of quality CAD data. Engineers embed vital information within the parts they design, but without accurate supplier CAD data, the process slows down and can be halted completely. Because data and analytics drive essential processes, companies have started requiring engineers to embed accurate CAD data within the parts they design. The focus is broadening from embedding data solely in internally designed CAD models to encompass purchased parts as well. If one linear drive failure can cost millions of dollars, mitigating those costs through higher quality supplier CAD data is essential. Engineers require high quality data when they use supplier parts within increasingly connected systems. It all comes down to the CAD models provided by component manufacturers. When manufacturers don't offer quality CAD data, engineers manually find and enter metadata and risk human error and incomplete data. Engineers guess and enter inaccurate data, or more commonly, engineers don't collect data and kick the issue down the road where the part data is harder to find. Industrial manufacturers can help their customers avoid costly issues from low-quality data by embedding accurate metadata within the CAD models they offer. Now let's dive into the differences between the types of CAD models engineers download from suppliers. First, we're going to talk about the 2D drawing of this clamp. It's a basic drawing that shows what the part looks like and how it functions. It serves a purpose in specific situations, but its value is limited for manufacturing automation and connected systems. This CAD model of the clamp is a neutral file format. It's the most common file format industrial manufacturers provide to engineers. The advantage is that a single CAD neutral file type can work in many different CAD systems. The problem is, neutral file formats are unable to carry and deliver the necessary metadata for downstream processes. Neutral file types are typically either a static solid, like the example here, or they come in multiple separate pieces. A static solid is similar to a piece of clay shaped to look like a part. If it were a real-world part, it would look something like the part in this video. Static solids are made of one piece without smart data. For the part to be useful in simulations, testing, or automation, engineers must redraw it as separate pieces and connect them together manually. Sometimes the part comes in multiple pieces. Engineers must connect the pieces and define how they interact. They must define the range of motion for simulation and automation programming. Some metadata cannot be embedded into a neutral file type at all. Neutral file formats have their place but are limited in functionality and require engineers to do the legwork for the part to be useful as anything other than a placeholder. This is an example of a native CAD model from a supplier. If a native CAD model were a real-world part, it would look like this video. Native CAD models have additional information available like dimensions, mates, and constraints, and sometimes manufacturer part numbers. This is a component digital twin. It contains vital metadata, attributes, and geometry for industrial automation, simulations, and connected systems. Component digital twins are digital representations of physical parts. They are native CAD models made of high-quality ingredients or high-quality data. The quality of a CAD model comes from geometry and accurate data embedded in the model. Data defines the usability of a part for advanced analytics, simulations, and automation. What data does a CAD model require to be considered a component digital twin? The truth is, it depends on the product. Requirements are different for each type, but here's some example attribute data for the gripper on this machine. Some of the attribute data includes finish, materials, dimensions, load capacity, maximum speed, estimated end of life, range of motion data, and manufacturer part number. So, how does component digital twin data drive industrial automation? Check out this simulation versus a real-world machine. When you embed essential metadata within your CAD models, it adds value to the engineer and saves them much time. And when they have accurate data, the model can drive simulations and downstream processes like machine automation. For the modern company, decision-making is increasingly coming down to data. Analytics and data-driven decisions are only as good as the initial data input. And a lot of that data is originating from the engineering department. That's why companies are increasingly looking for component data when selecting suppliers. Providing models with rich metadata, component manufacturers can support their customers, building deeper relationships and increasing sales. Each part within this machine requires geometry and accurate data for simulations. For instance, the grip has attribute data for different functions like clamping, controlling, and lifting. Other relevant metadata could be force, moment of inertia, air pressure requirements, and control logic. The simulation program cross-references gripper data with simulation data from the cylinder and its functionality. The simulation needs data from the cylinder to ensure the gripper and the cylinder are in sync. When you add in connector data, and also adding sensor information for programming and sensor placement, you have the foundation for testing, analysis, simulation, and procurement. When a component manufacturer gives engineers all the metadata they need to run simulations, when all of the different parts on this machine are connected together and communicating properly, it enables engineers to make design decisions based on that data much earlier in the process, saving time and money. Here's an example of how that would work. During the simulation, the design engineer may discover the gripper is overpowered when compared to the linear drive that holds it. This enables the engineer to either downgrade the gripper to save money or upgrade the linear drive to increase production. The supplier metadata can also be used for future part replacement and scheduled downtime for maintenance. So the question that remains is, what can component manufacturers do? Well, they can provide motion data for products with kinematics, can provide mating information for products with connection points. They can provide constraints for products with range of motion, and they can provide attributes and textual metadata for relevance and functionality. So how can you give engineers the data they need? Simple, by delivering component digital twins on demand. Are you interested in learning how you can provide component digital twins to your customers? It may be easier than you think. Fill out the form below to set up a call with one of our team members to discuss the specifics of your products and the data your audience needs.